Hi everyone, my name is Gustav.
And my name is David, and both of us are co owners of the Paradise Group.
You're completely right about that. And today we're gonna talk a little bit about what we want the personality of our Paradise Group members to be like, and also what character you should have, your spirit and everything like
Your
that, and
finances,
also what do you say?
your finances, very important
Exactly,
part.
what job you do and stuff like that, to cover it lightly.
All right, well, let's start things off. Gustav, feel free to talk about character.
Yeah, so basically the character we want people to have is confidence in themselves. They don't have to have they don't have to be like the most confident guy in the world, but try to be. Because we get a lot of people messaging us and they want to talk with us, but they want to do everything through a message call because they're not really that confident in themselves to be able to do a voice call. Now, we're not trying to push you to go out of your comfort zone, or we actually are, but we don't want you to do things you're not comfortable with. But we really believe that some things you should think about is that the key to success is to focus on your conscious mind and on the things we desire, not the things we fear. So if you put this into this example, is that most people focus on their little self-limiting beliefs that they're bad at talking with people, or that they have a fear of public speaking, but they don't focus on what this opportunity can bring them. Let's say, for example, our Paradise Group, which David could probably explain a little bit more about what they can get personality-wise from being a member with us.
Yeah, I think that's one of the largest portions. I think if we were referring to someone's personality, is really the community that's kind of we've built here, right? Really going and improving yourself, and especially increasing your confidence, becoming more determined. I feel like that becomes easier if you surround yourself with the right people. Right? If you
Exactly.
join the Paradise Group, if you surround yourself with amazing people, you'll see yourself getting better every single day. Right?
Yeah,
But
and if I
going
might
back to
interrupt
the
you right now, character is basically the results of
yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of choices you make that gradually turn you into who you are. So, if you're, for example, in the Paradise Group and only surround yourself with people who make great choices, you'll unconsciously start making better choices yourself. Now, that brings me into the next thing we want our members to be. It's self discipline and also on self improvement. We don't think, like some women, if you've seen a lot of these recorded things with, for example, the guy called Sneeko, he's looking at women and they get asked a simple question about, do you think you're perfect right now? And do you think you're a 10 out of 10? What would you rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10? And most of them always say 10, or that they think they're perfect and that confidence is key, which is, yeah, confidence is important, but you shouldn't be egotistical. And you should always understand that it's always something you could do better and you can always improve upon yourself. And you should not be cocky and feel like you're perfect. That's probably what we want most in our members. Self-discipline, very motivated, and also on self-improvement. Now, David, do you mind going into more of the jobs they should have or the finances they probably need?
Yeah, I think it really is just two sides of a same coin, right? Obviously, you are going to need these types of skills personality wise to get this type of job and finances in place. But I think it's something that we really need to talk about. Right? Obviously, we do want someone who's going to go and really provide something to the community emotionally and with their via their character. Right? But finances is a very important part of things. And honestly, most people who are with this group have either three types of income, right? They either have some sort of business, that's right, for boss their business, they have some sort of online job, or they have some sort of like taskmaster, almost freelance, we'll say freelance work. And I just kind of want to maybe go into slightly more detail, if that's fine with you, Gustav, and kind of
Sure.
outline some of these things here, but more importantly, maybe how you can get to this point.
Yeah, David,
Right.
don't forget the I also in everything. The investor.
Yes, and yes, the investing is, though it may be a bit later on. I know there is some people who are doing investing, yes. So we'll
Yeah,
add that
that
on to
they
that
invest, for
point.
example, in properties that it gives them, or assets more per se.
It gives them income, yes. No, you are right there. But there's usually those mainly those three, though investing is a bit more advanced, but it is something a lot of people do. But I
Mhm.
wanted to kind of go into slightly more detail about them because many people do have their required character, but there are quite a few people we've talked to who have that, but haven't gained the really required finances to go and really achieve this. So, if I may, I'll go on a little rant per se and kind of outline some of the pros and cons and how you exactly begin this. In all honesty, and I think me and Gustav understand this very, very well, is that business is quite a difficult thing. You would probably advise people to stray away from this one. I think Gustav, you can kind of give us some information about why business is not exactly amazing for the beginner, but why it may be better later on.
Yeah, so business is quite a complex thing. The businesses which you see on YouTube are not the ones that actually make you money. You mostly see dropshipping or SMMA I've heard a lot about, and also copywriting. That can work if you're really into that. Also, what more do we see, David? Here's some general things that gurus advertise.
I think one of the most important things is that when you're looking at a business, you have to look at what the value is given. If something's really easy to provide and doesn't provide much value, you're never going to get paid from it.
Exactly. And what I think is that if you ever hear a business model which everyone can do, don't do it. Because if everyone can do it, it is too much supply and too little demand.
Very
And the
much.
quality of people who do it will ruin the reputation of that industry. That could be said about the SMMA branch. Advertising now, if people want to start an advertising agency, it's so much harder because you have 12-year-olds calling real companies. Let's example, I have a supplement company I'm working with right now. They call that company every day, different types of SMMA artists, and they try to sell them. Now they're just ruining the reputation, so keep away from what the gurus recommend. That's some advice I could give you probably.
Yes, and I really think that that's something to be aware of, and also be aware of that there is no easy or free way to start a business. You're always going to have to
Completely
spend.
right. No, get rich quick. It's get rich quicker or smarter,
Yes,
but not
exactly.
get rich quick.
Right. So it's something that maybe some people are into, but I really think that this should be kind of somewhat avoided, at least for some time. Obviously, freelance, I can briefly speak about freelance, also is something I wouldn't advise for the beginner. It's amazing if you want to do something part-time or partially, but it's going to be very difficult, or you will not ever really maintain or receive a very large amount of money from that, right? Because always,
Yeah, David, could I take investing and job and you take business after this?
yeah, go first. Go over investing for us, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, in my opinion, there are two types of investors. I'm not going to go in too much details because you're probably not going to understand it. But it is OPM investors and what's it called? Yourself investors. Now, OPM investors is basically, simply put, other people's money investors. And the most powerful thing about that is that you can use it in, for example, real estate. Now, that's probably one of the most powerful things in the world. And what most people don't know is that money is debt. Never forget that. Money is debt. If you're ever taking a loan from a bank, that's how money gets into existence. David, write that down. This is very important.
Yeah.
Money is literally debt. That's all it is. And you should never be scared of taking a loan. Many people in school recommend to not take a loan, and to somewhat of a degree, I agree with that. But if you're an investor, loans are very, very, very important. Now, taking a loan, for example, to buy a car, that's stupid. Because the value of a car always goes down over time. While if you purchase, for example, a real estate property, or you purchase some leverage calls, or you purchase some other things which can actually make you money, OPM is one of the greatest ways to make money, in my opinion.
Yeah, good
Very
and
good.
bad
Because you
debt.
actually, exactly. Money is debt. Exactly. Completely right. And when you're working with other people's money, you could actually risk more. Because if you lose it, for example, in real estate, you don't lose any money yourself. What you're basically losing is the real estate property. Because the banks always take the property. You're never in risk of going into debt yourself. Because if you're, for example, buying a real estate and the interest rates goes up, for example, and you're not available to pay it, the banks will take over the real estate and you don't lose any money. And let's say, for example, what's happened many times, for example, for Robert Kiyosaki, is that the banks sometimes don't want the properties because it's a lot of issues. They need to maintain it, plumbing, for example, the uphold costs. So sometimes they even just give away the property for free to you without you actually having to pay any rent or actually having to pay any interest on your loan, which is really important. Uh, Robert Kiyosaki, for example, when the 2008 crash happened, he got properties for $365 million by himself, just from having a loan, and the bank didn't want his properties. Now that's something great to think about, that other people's money is basically free money. Always remember that.
Yes, it obviously does depend on the specific situation, and there is good and bad debt. I think that needs to be
Exactly,
clarified.
that's very good. That needs to be clarified a lot. Do you mind going into that a little bit, David? And then you can
Yeah.
go over to a job, maybe.
100%. Before I go into and go a bit deeper into how exactly you can get a job online and everything like that, is good and bad debt is something very important to understand. It depends on your situation and what you're exactly getting into debt for. Going and, for example, getting a car that you can't afford, or a mortgage that you can't afford.
Something that depreciates is bad debt. Something that increases in value or puts money in your pocket is a good debt, in my opinion.
Always do the math and make sure, because if you're gonna get good debt and you're gonna receive money from it over time, then it's always something you want to do, and that's always fine. If it's something that's gonna lose you money or you can't afford, that's always bad debt. But next thing's next, right? Because obviously investing is a bit more high class because you usually need a good amount of money to start off. I think one of the, or probably the most attainable option for the average person starting off, who maybe doesn't exactly know what to do yet or needs more experience, is the online job. Right now, obviously, first thing comes up as well. What do you mean exactly online job? What's the difference between online job and a regular job? Well. Let's wipe everything off and start getting into that. At the end of the day, and this is something I've seen and learned, is that there are quite a few different types of jobs, right? But nowadays, there's a new opportunity that has recently opened up over the last few years. You have quote unquote formal jobs, and you have online jobs, right? For example, if you're a lawyer, that would be a formal job. You go into the office, right? So you go into the office, whatever the little house, which is an office. You work there. You need a formal degree that has a little, writing and has a little stamp on it. Look how cute that looks. And then you have online jobs. And the main difference is, how do you get this? What are the benefits of having an online job? And it's very simple. You do not need formal education for an online job. And people, when they try to make money online, often completely look over the possibility of getting an online job, or look at probably 50 different other things, online business, drop shipping, print on demand. I think you know about that, right? Right, Gustav? Actually, Gustav, go list off some of the worst things you could do to make money online.
Some of the worst things? You mean some of the worst business models, or just
worst business models, worst things to do to make money online.
Yeah, drop shipping, print on demand, clothing, because it's so much competition. And you're not Giovanni Versace, my friend. You're just a random kid who drop ships clothes on print on demand. You're basically selling Chinese products at a cheap price. You should, what in my opinion, a good online job is, simply put, something you need qualifications for, something you need skills for, something that not everyone can do. Do you think that's a good explanation, David, or do you want to go a little bit more into depth?
I think it's I think it's a really good step of what you need, right? I mean, looking at things here is that, look, when starting off, there is no way you're going to go and jump into a business and make tons of money. And I think the best way for as many people as possible to be able to partake in the opportunity we're giving with the Paradise Group is most likely through an online job. And what do I exactly mean by this? Well, let me give a little example, right? I just hired an employee for my business, right? He came in, but I didn't hire him because, and I'll just give his situation as an example. I didn't hire him because of his education. I didn't hire him because of this reason or that reason. I hired him because he outlined all of his skills very, very well. He said, I'm amazing at sales. I'm amazing at this. I'm amazing at that. And I'm going to provide value to your company. And on top of that, he said, obviously, he's going to be hardworking. He's going to be hardworking. He's going to work hard. He's going to work the hours required, right? And if he does that, and if you do that, and create a proper resume and go onto locations like Upwork, you'll be able to go and get this type of job, right? If you have the proper skills and I'll use myself as kind of an example here. Right now, I could write down, I've run businesses before. I've run the Paradise Group. I've done this, I've done that. I have all these different certifications, all these various skills. And I could be hired for just about any job I want online. Oddly enough, I made a LinkedIn page quite a while ago. People have asked me, oddly enough, to become the CEO of their company or manager of a certain branch and such. If I really wanted to, I could hop on there and I could just do work online, send emails, talk to people. And I think it's important that you develop that skill set and that mindset. And if you have that, you can apply that to get a job that you can work online. You can do what you want. You can still get paid well and really achieve the life you want without taking the massive risk of starting a business. And obviously, you don't have as many requirements, right? Obviously, there's a lot of requirements to get a job online, but it's an equivalent from $1 million to $1 billion, right? I think that's a pretty good explanation. Do you have any other notes you want to add on to that, Gustav?
No, I think you explained it quite well there, actually.
Awesome. Yeah, but those are the two main things we're looking for, right? Gustav, you want to maybe summarize what we've said here?
Yeah, so skills is very important. In character, we're looking for someone who's disciplined, also motivated at times to do things they don't need to do or they don't want to do. Maybe just such a simple thing as going to the gym. It doesn't seem like it makes so much of a difference to skip it, but in the scheme of things, it actually does. And you'll feel much better when you've actually done it. Now also, I want to go over the different types of things we were talking about investing. Job, did we cover freelancing? You covered, right? And business you covered.
Freelancing, yep.
Investing also, yeah. So, do you think we should summarize one word which pretty much sums everything up for each of those columns?
Yeah, Gustav, go for it, man.
Yeah. So, what would you say business is a one-word summary for that?
Or
We're
maybe
just thinking right here. This is not script or anything.
I think it's, well, maybe you'll have to do experience and risk.
Exactly. I would probably explain just as risk.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly.
Because people have seen a lot of stupid things. A lot of interviews with, for example, Ben Shapiro. Some stupid guy asked him, why do the employees make so much less than the actual business owner when they do all the physical work in the factories and the factories wouldn't work without them? And the simply put answer to that is they don't stand any risk. If they get rid of their job, they still get a little bit of a salary after that, and they don't have any risk of going into bankruptcy, and they can always find another job. That guy who actually risked everything to create that business, he maybe doesn't even have a degree. He probably doesn't have a backup plan. He probably went into debt to be able to create that business.
Leverage all of his money, yeah.
Exactly. He stands all the risk.
And then I guess freelancing, it's pretty easy, just inconsistent.
Yeah, that's probably it, yeah.
But that, whatever, that's fast. Right, just inconsistent.
Investing, I'd probably say, I think it's between intelligent and history, because both of them are very important. History is probably for, if you study history, you could easily make a lot of money. As long as you know what happened in the past, you could easily predict what's going to happen in the future. Because us human beings are quite predictable. We usually work like we've always worked. We don't too often think of something new.
And if I may,
no idea. Yeah.
And if I may, I just want to add a little point here: is that there are two really main type of investors in my mind.
Yeah. If you think about stock market investing, that's another way.
Yeah, you have passive investors, and you have interactive investors, right? And I think I have an amazing explanation of what right. You have interactive investors, right? To pay their bills, they have a handful of money, and they put into one trade and either make money or they lose money. And at the end of the day, is the equivalent of having a lightning rod going out every single night and having it strike. Because that's the only way you're going to pay your bills, is having the lightning rod being struck every single night. And passive investing, where you have a massive mountain and you get pebbles every single day. So I think that's oh, if you want to go a bit more into detail, just please explain it.
No, it's fine. It's completely fine. And then after that, what more do we have? Jobs, right?
Jobs? I mean, work hard, man.
Probably say boring. Myself.
Boring. Maybe. It depends what type of job. It depends if you like your job.
Yeah. And it depends on what type of person you are also.
Yeah, the guy I hired fucking loved sales.
Yeah,
It's been
I
doing
get you.
sales his
Yeah,
entire
some
life.
people, like many people, like Andrew Tate, for example. I have no problem with Andrew Tate, and I don't love Andrew Tate. He preaches a lot that everyone should escape the Matrix, for example, like he says.
Not possible.
But we will always need people who do the hard work. We will always need plumbers. We will always need electricians. We will always need doctors. In that sense, we can't only have digital nomads, because then the society won't work. So instead of like looking down on those people, you should just be happy that you actually got blessed with the mindset to be able to want to be more than just an average Joe, you know?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think something interesting, which ties into what you just said here, was if you've ever read the Wealth of Nations, right? It went into the idea of it'd be really, really amazing if nations could specialize in themselves. And I think that especially locations like the West and the US have given a lot of people the opportunity to specialize into these types of jobs being online. These for this paperwork, this and that, this and that. Right? I think you should really take advantage as the middle class kind of shrinks to don't really put yourself ahead, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to get started on all of that, the politics,
Oh
because I could
no.
rant on about that for 3 hours long, and
Let's
this
not do that
video would
today.
not be entertaining. So we can take that another day, maybe.
Yeah,
But do you think we have something more to cover today, or?
honestly, I think that is it. I think we've given people a pretty good idea and a pretty good outline of how to, well, firstly, what we're looking for, and secondly, maybe how they can adjust themselves and really push to try to make themselves better and into a person who could join us.
Oh, thank you. Phrased it very great. Now, what you always could do, as we mentioned in pretty much every video, is to message us on Discord if you have any questions or want to be a prospect. Now, David, do you mind writing out our usernames for Discord on your post-it note there?
Yeah, I'll make sure it's I'll make sure it's in the description firstly. But I
Yeah,
mean,
sure, sure.
if
Yeah,
you really
that's of
want
course.
to,
I'll send it to you there, Gustav Fring.
yeah, I'll go. We'll go dox ourselves here for a moment, and
Oh,
whatever.
it's a
That's
little
fine.
bit slow there.
Whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fine. There it is. There's mine. You'll see both of them in the description, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But there it is. Make sure work hard, but most importantly, enjoy your life. See you guys later, huh? Gustav, anything to say?
I think you covered it quite well. And don't be financially illiterate.
Yeah.
That's the what I want to end it with.
Learn to read. Learn to read.
Exactly.
All right.
Learn to read. Yeah.
See you guys
Well,
later. Bye bye.
yeah, see ya.